There's a verse in Scripture that's quoted all the time, but today we're going to really understand what it means. So let's read it. Isaiah 54, verse 17. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yah, and their righteousness is of me, saith Yah. Some people think that this verse applies only to the final Exodus, but Scripture itself does not limit it that way. Isaiah does not tell us when the promise applies. He tells us who it belongs to. This is the heritage of the servants of Yah. That makes this a covenant promise, not one for just one moment in time. We see this promise throughout Scripture. Yah stops weapons, Yah preserving his servants, and Yah refusing to let covenant be erased. The final Exodus will be the fullest expression of this promise, but it's not the only time that it's fulfilled. So who is this promise for? Isaiah says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. So who is the thee? Isaiah already told us earlier in the chapter. Isaiah 54 verse 5. For thy maker is thine husband, Yah of hosts is his name. This chapter is spoken to Zion. It describes a woman, a wife, a covenant people being restored. And Isaiah continues in Isaiah 54 verse 11. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted. This is exile language. And then Isaiah defines the thee even more precisely. This is the heritage of the servants of Yah. So the promise is spoken to Zion, but the heritage belongs to the servants of Yah. That distinction matters. In Hebrew, servants of Yah is Aved Yah. And Aved is not just someone who belongs to the household. Aved is someone who serves, belongs, and lives under the authority of the master Yah only. In Scripture, servant is selective. Not all within Israel are called servants. Not all within Zion function as servants. Scripture makes the distinction clear. Moses is called my servant. David is called my servant. Yet many within Israel are rebuked for not serving Yah in truth. So when Isaiah says, this is the heritage of the servants of Yah, he is saying the promise belongs to those within Zion who truly belong to Yah only in alliance, not by name only, but by relationship and loyalty. This doesn't mean perfection, it means belonging to. So now that we understand who the promise belongs to, we could talk about how it works. First, we need to be very clear. Yah has the power to physically stop all weapons. Scripture shows us literal, physical intervention again and again. Daniel 6, verse 22. My Elohim hath sent his angels, and hath shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. And 2 Kings 6, verse 17. And Yah opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. Psalm 91, verse 7. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. And Isaiah 43, verse 2. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned. So we see that Yah can stop the weapon, He can preserve the body, and He can keep someone physically unharmed. But Scripture also shows us that sometimes the servant still dies. Isaiah 57, verses 1 through 2. The righteous perisheth, and no man layeth it to heart. And merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. He shall enter into peace. They shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness. And Psalms 116 verse 15. Precious in the eyes of Yah is the death of his faithful ones. So physical death is not evidence that the promise failed, and it is not proof that the weapon won. Sometimes Yah protects the servant from what is coming. In both cases, the weapon does not prosper. So what does prosper actually mean? The verse does not say no weapon will be formed. It says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And to prosper means to succeed in its assignment, to accomplish its true purpose, or to get the final word. The weapon's true goal is not only physical harm. Its goal is to erase identity, to sever covenant, to remove belonging, and to take someone away from Yah. That is what does not succeed. Even if the body is harmed, Yah still knows you. And all weapons are not only physical, they are also false doctrine, accusations, lies, religious systems like Christianity. And Isaiah says those weapons fail. Most of us that are awake now were once in Christianity, but that weapon failed against us, and Yah called us out, preserving us. Yet some of our loved ones lived and died believing in Jesus or Yeshua. They were faithful, humble, and sincere. If a system or a religion functioned as a weapon, its true goal would have been to erase them from Yah. But that cannot happen because Yah knew them. Even in death, that weapon cannot prosper. So Isaiah 54 verse 17 means this: the promise is spoken to Zion. The heritage belongs to the servants of Yah. The servants are those who belong to Him only and walk in obedience towards Him, not in perfection, but seeking. And the weapon never succeeds in erasing them. Sometimes Yah stops the weapon physically. Sometimes He preserves the servant beyond the weapon, and sometimes He does both. But Yah never allows the weapon to accomplish its true goal. No weapon, whether a physical weapon, accusatory tongue against you, or a religious system to take you into idolatry and away from Yah, can ever remove a servant of Yah from his knowing, covenant, and claim. Isaiah 49, verses 15 through 16. Can a woman forget her suckling child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me.